Okay, guys, shout out to The Desirable Truth. Make sure you guys go and follow them on Instagram. Let's take a look at this video where he interviews a couple about the concept of women having guy friends. Here we go.
How do you feel about her having guy friends?
That's totally cool.
I've always had guy friends. He's met every single guy friend I've had.
I had girlfriends.
Some of my guy friends has literally watched his dog.
So you don't care if she were to spend time with them one-on-one?
No, I think that's insecure if you do.
How is that insecurity?
There's no insecurity.
I'm just secure with who I am. I'm secure in the relationship, and as long as you're secure in the relationship,
Very nebulous.
everything works out.
You don't think her being in that environment with another man one-on-one would create a bridge between you two?
No, because at the end of the day, relationships are all about trust. And if you don't trust your person, you shouldn't be with them, right? So if you trust them enough to be in a relationship,
Look at her texting. This woman is literally texting while this dude is talking about trust.
in a one-on-one situation with a male figure or whatever, doesn't really matter. If those friendships existed before me, who am I to say no, right? At the end of the day, as a man, it's about being confident. And if you're confident enough, it doesn't matter.
But why would your woman want to spend time with another man one-on-one if she has you?
Let me ask you a question. Do you have friends?
We gotta go.
Oh, now we gotta go. Notice how she said, "Baby, we gotta go," when he started asking questions that got a little bit closer to the truth. Let's take this from the top here. So in the beginning, he asks, "What do you think about your woman having guy friends?" Her response automatically is, "He's met all of my guy friends." Guys, this doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you have met all of her guy friends before, okay? We all know that guy friends for guys like us are out of bounds. And here's another thing. I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, okay, she's got a lot of guy friends. She's an attractive woman, but all of these guy friends are in the friend zone. These guys are simps. They're giving her all of the boyfriend treatment without getting any of the bedroom fun. And you would be right most of the time. But guys, these days, women are guy friends with guys they have slept with, number one. Number two, how many girls do you know who are still friends with their exes? Those are the guy friends that she's talking about. Yes, I'm sure that she probably has all kinds of guy friends who simp for her, give her rides when she needs it, gives her the attention when she's complaining about the guy she's sleeping with or the guy that's on your screen. Now, I'm sure that those guys are willing to listen and be that ear, but never forget, never ever forget, modern women love to remain friends with their exes to maintain that abundance, right? And a lot of times I've had so many consultation clients where they'll tell me, yes, my wife has been cheating on me, blah, 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 blah. And then later on in the consultation, the guy will be like, yeah, I actually met the guy. She introduced me to the guy she was sleeping with. He was our kid's taekwondo coach, or he was our kid's t-ball coach. And it turns out that my wife is sleeping with him. So he met all of my guy friends means absolutely nothing. Then of course he counters with, well, I've had friends who are girls before. And I know a lot of women will say, okay, well, if she has guy friends and he has girlfriends and he's not okay with her having guy friends, that's a double standard. No, sweetie. No. That's not a double standard. It's a different standard. Men and women are different. So it's not a double standard. It's a different standard. Let's go ahead and move on to the whole, well, if you trust them, then it's enough. Guys, trust is earned. It is not given. And I think one of the main things, one of the biggest mistakes that men make when they go into relationships is this mentality that they say to each other or to other people, well, I trust someone until they give me reason not to. Guys, this is not the way to do it. A woman you are sexually involved with must earn your trust. And just because she earns your trust one time doesn't mean that she has trust for the rest of, for the rest of the relationship. I've reacted to a lot of loyalty test videos, and every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, the girl will genuinely pass the test. This means the girl does not know she's being tested. She tells the guy, hey, I've got a boyfriend. I appreciate it, but I've got a boyfriend. I love him, blah, 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 blah. The mistake that these men make that are in the back room with either Udi or the other guy is they say, oh my God, she passed the test. We're going to go out there. I'm going to congratulate her. Well, here's the problem with that. If you're a woman and you pass a loyalty test that you didn't know was being administered and your boyfriend comes out and says, hey, congratulations, I tested you. You've passed the test. I'm going to trust you for the rest of the relationship. That gives her a free pass to violate his trust. Because when she engages in behavior that is conducive to infidelity, or if she engages in behavior that maybe raises some suspicion, if she's hiding her phone, if she's working late, whatever the case may be, in the guy's mind, he's going to say, well, I can trust her because I tested her when she didn't know she was being tested and she passed. So I'm going to assume that she will pass the test if there are no cameras around. Guys, trust needs to be earned every day. All right. Trust in relationships is like the rent or the mortgage. Just because you pay your mortgage 1 month doesn't mean your mortgage is paid off for the rest of, for the rest of the mortgage, for the rest of the loan period. No, you got to pay the mortgage every day. A lot of people say, well, I make double payments. Guess what? If your mortgage payment is due on the 16th and you make a double payment, they're still waiting for that payment on the 16th of the next month. It doesn't matter if you paid if you made a double payment. Well, my girl made a double payment today. She passed a loyalty test and, she told me about this and that and the third. Guys, trust is supposed to be earned every single day. And women know this. Just because a woman earns your trust one time in one situation does not mean she is trustworthy. So listen, you can trust her, and I'm sure she's been in situations where, okay, she could have done or said this, but instead she did or said that. I can trust her. No, you can tell. You can tell automatically whether you can trust a woman or not just by their habits, characteristics, traits, etc., etc. But just because they show you trust one time does not sustain you for the rest of the relationship. Let's move on to the whole, I'm secure in my relationship, so I trust my woman because I'm secure. I'm not insecure. Gentlemen, insecurity, that is shaming language, okay? Women want to be able to engage in behaviors that put their relationship at risk. They want to engage in behaviors that make them look single. They want to engage in all these behaviors. And as soon as a man raises his suspicions, or as soon as he expresses that he might have a problem with it, they throw the I word. Well, you're just being insecure. So what this does is this tamps down a man's natural instincts to do what's necessary to protect the relationship. You show me a secure man in a relationship, and I will show you a man who's getting cheated on. Let's move on to the point where he says, well, if those friendships existed before me, who am I to tell her that she can't have those friendships? Guys, that's not him speaking. That is her speaking. That is modern women speaking. Because I promise you, this guy has been in relationships with women in the past where they have had long-standing male friendships. And again, remember, never forget that women these days are friends a lot of times with their exes. So a lot of these guys are guys who have already had sex with your girlfriend, who she is still friends with and still talking to. Then he says, well, if those relationships existed before we got together, then who am I to say that she can't be in those relationships anymore? That is a very good question. And the answer is no. You can't tell her what she can or can't do. You can't tell a woman you can be friends with this person, you can't be friends with that person. You can be friends with this person, you can't be. No. Women don't like controlling men, but they do like men who are in control. And the way you respond to these pre-existing relationships with men is you control your response to those pre-existing relationships. And how do you do this? You let her know when things start to get a little bit serious, when she starts to ask questions like, hey, what are we? Are we going to get serious? Is this a relationship? What do I tell my friends? This is when you start to lay out your standards, boundaries, and expectations, one of which should be like, listen, I'm not here to tell you what you can or can't do, but me personally, I don't get into committed relationships with women who are friends with men. And at that point, she has a choice to make. She can either be in a relationship with you, or she can have these pre-existing male friends, but she can't have both. That's not being controlling. That's not being possessive. That's not being manipulative. This is simply controlling your response to her pre-existing male friends. So no, he's right. You cannot tell a woman what she can or cannot do. You're not her father. That's not what you're there for. But what you can do is that you can influence her decision-making by your reaction to what she does. So for example, if she's a girl who likes to go to the club and you guys start to get into a relationship and she asks you, hey, what are we? No, listen, I don't commit to women. I don't get into committed relationships with women who go to bars or clubs. Same thing with social media. You get with a girl, she's got a bunch of Instagram followers. You guys can see that this girl is very, very attractive. I'm sure she probably has an Instagram where she is followed by thirsty men the world over. But when things start to get a little bit serious and she starts to ask you, hey, what are we? You let her know simply, I don't get into committed relationships with women who are on social media. Now, I know a lot of people, women in particular, will probably ask, well, wait a minute, are you telling me I can't be on social media? No, that's not what I'm telling you at all. I know women will ask, well, wait a minute, are you telling me I can't have guy friends? No, I'm not telling you can't have guy friends. I'm not telling you that you can't have guy friends. I'm not telling you that you can't go to bars or clubs. I'm not telling you you can't have a social media account. What I am saying is that I don't get into committed relationships with women who engage in these activities. And again, it becomes a choice. And a lot of people will say, well, wait a minute, Donovan, this is an ultimatum. It's not an ultimatum. It is a choice. As I stated before, you can either engage in activities that make you look single, or you can be in a committed relationship with me, but you can't have both. And if you choose to engage in these behaviors that are conducive to infidelity, cool, no problem. We'll keep it casual. We'll keep this a situationship. We'll just be hookup buddies until I get tired of you and move on to a girl who maybe wants to get into a committed relationship with me and is willing to do what needs to be done to secure that relationship. The last question he asks is a very good question, and it sort of reveals the dynamic of the relationship. He asked her in not so many words, why would your woman want to spend one-on-one time with another man who isn't you? And of course, she immediately chimes in and she says, well, it's for friendship, which of course is nebulous. Again, remember, women are friends with their exes. Women are friends with men who have been inside them. You don't think that these guys still want to smash? Of course she knows they want to smash. That's why they keep her around. But immediately he goes to the what about the Mendo argument? Well, do you have girlfriends? He asks the guy who's interviewing. Immediately, he starts to get closer to the truth, and that's when the girl shuts it down. She's like, nope, baby, we gotta go. But the most telling part about this entire interview is that towards the end, when he is actually talking about trust, the girl is texting someone. This woman is in a street interview with a man who I assume is her boyfriend or significant other for a substantial amount of time. And look at her. She's literally texting someone else. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter as long as you trust and da-da-da-da-da. Look, watch. He's sitting here asking her if she wants to spit. Look, let me ask you a question, blah, 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 blah. Look, she's still texting. And now she's like, baby, we got to go. She completely shut that down. Unfortunately for this guy, his relationship is already over. It's not a matter of if she's going to cheat on him. It is a matter of when. And it appears that she has likely already found his replacement and was probably texting him during that interview. Guys, be sure to join me today at 3 p.m. Pacific time on Rumble, where I will be starting Love is Blind Season 9 out of Denver. I'm going to be doing the play-by-play breakdown and reaction, gives you real-world actionable advice on how to handle women like this in the real world. Thanks for watching.